Pie is great because not only is it filling, but it's full of vitamins, minerals, and fiber, which will keep you fuller for longer. It's especially great to have because it's hearty and it will keep you nice and warm during these cold winter months here in Unsweetened that will help you to kickstart your morning off right. Try this recipe out. All you're gonna need is 1 cup of rolled oats, 2 cups of unsweetened almond milk, 1 cup of unsweetened applesauce, 2 teaspoons of agave nectar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 Fuji apple, or whatever apple of your choosing. The CDC, it is extremely important to wash your hands because it helps prevent the spread of germ spread from touching your hands and touching surfaces that have been unwashed. Correctly wash your hands. Turn on warm water, lather up with soap, and wash the backs of your hands, in between your fingers, and underneath your nails. Then you're going to apply a generous amount of soap and then wash your hands for 20 seconds. You can sing the ABC song in your head. And then you are going to wipe off your hands with clean paper towels or a clean towel. After that, you can turn off the faucet and then you are just finished washing my hands. We are going to begin by cutting our Fuji Apple Pie Oatmeal is cutting our apple up. You are going to need 1 sharp knife, 1 cutting board, a wet paper towel to go underneath the cutting board to prevent it from slipping out from underneath you, and 1 Fuji apple of your choosing. Next, you are going to rinse your apple, which I already did, under warm water to make sure that it's clean and pat dry with a clean paper towel. We are going to begin to slice the apple roughly 2 inches apart on both sides. Make sure to curl your fingers in as best you can to prevent any cutting of your fingertips. Once that is done, you are going to begin to do that on the other side. Once that is done, you are going to want to take out the rinds of the apple. When shopping for apples, make sure that you are choosing a firm apple, so it's firm to the touch and it won't press in on the skin. Apples are very high in fiber and are a great source of carbohydrates and a good pre-workout snack. So next, we are just cutting horizontally in order to get our apples chopped up as so. So we're going to be lining them up horizontally and then cutting roughly 4 lines down the. So apples are low in sodium, fat, and cholesterol. And just for reference, it was only 85 cents per Fuji apple at Hugo's on South Columbia. Just gonna finish up our chopping. That looks good enough. Then we're just gonna place them into our bowl for later. The ideal storage of Fuji apples, or any apples in general, is in a refrigerator 30 to 35 degrees Fahrenheit, and they can last up to 6 to 9 weeks if you individually wrap them in the refrigerator. Now we're going to be moving our cutting board, our apple, and our knife off to the side. And next, we are going to be getting out our unsweetened almond. Pull out your medium saucepan and place it on the stove. Open the lid and place your 2 cups of unsweetened original almond milk into the saucepan. Once you are done, cover with the lid. And we are going to be bringing it to a boil, so you can turn your dial all the way up until you see that. Shopping for an alternative nut milk like almond milk, make sure that you are reading the label and buying an unsweetened version, because those that are not unsweetened usually have added sugars and added sodium on the back of the food label. Other nut milk alternatives include oat milk, soy milk, coconut milk, an array of other. Refrigerated almond milk needs to stay in the fridge at all times. Once it's open, it can last for roughly 7 to 10 days. This unsweetened original almond milk was $2.65 for 32 ounces. A good fact to know about alternative milk, such as almond milk, is that they are also fortified with calcium and vitamin D to promote strong muscles and bones. While we wait for our unsweetened almond milk to heat up on the stovetop, a thing to know about oats is that they're among one of the healthiest grains on the earth. And when you're shopping for them, make sure you're looking at the back of the label and only seeing that there is oats in the ingredients and that there are no added sugars or sodium. Unlike a lot of the other prepackaged oatmeal cups and anything else you can find at stores, the ones that are just original, now that our unsweetened almond milk is heated up on the stove, you are going to reduce the heat to low, so turning it about a quarter way full. Now, you're going to take off the lid and you are going to pour in your 1 cup of rolled oats. You're going to give it a quick stir. And we're actually going to reduce it just a little more. And that they are full of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So how can you go wrong? These Quaker oats were $1.59 for 18 ounces. So I actually just turned up my stove about halfway on just because I was noticing that there wasn't enough heat. And it's just a good note to put in there that sometimes you have a recipe and it says one thing, but you just gotta adapt and work with it because not every stove heats up as fast. So this recipe doesn't necessarily deal with cross-contamination the way that meat and poultry would, for example, with potentially having salmonella. However, since there are people with celiac disease out there and an array of other reasons why people are gluten-free, it is important to check the labels on the oats you are getting because oats that don't claim specifically gluten-free may be contaminated potentially at manufacturers where they might be tossed in or made with some wheat or barley, and it is a good practice to get into to make sure you're looking at the labels. So now we are going to turn our stovetop off and we are going to bring it on over to a non-heated section of the stovetop. We're going to let that sit for a second, and next we are going to add in our 1 cup of unsweetened applesauce to our mixture. Once you do that, you're going to give it a good mix until it is homogeneous. Actually, I'm going to bring it back on the stovetop for just a little longer. When you're at the store, make sure you're looking for unsweetened applesauce because unlike the other versions that may say cinnamon or mixed berry, those contain extra added sugars and sodium, whereas if you stick with the unsweetened original, you are just getting purified apples. So while the bottle is unopened, you can keep it in a pantry in a cool, dark place. But as soon as it's open, you need to make sure to refrigerate it so that it preserves the item for as long as possible. It was $1.89 for 24 ounces. While the oatmeal is still on the warm stovetop, we are going to be adding our 2 teaspoons of cinnamon to our mixture. Make sure that when you blend it around, you can't see any chunks of cinnamon and that it is once again homogeneous. good for 12 to 18 months if it is unopened. If it is, like I said before, make sure you're refrigerating it. Similarly to whole apples, applesauce is low in calories, fat, and already have cinnamon at home in their cabinets. However, when you do go to buy and restock your cabinets, make sure to look at the best by date. Best by date for this item is a little over a year. The product is non-perishable at room temperature. It can essentially last for more than its use. It's a very healthy spice and can lower blood pressure levels. This container was $4.99 for 4.1. You're going to take your oatmeal off of the stovetop and place it into a smaller bowl for serving up. You're going to estimate roughly 1/4 of the serving because this makes for 4 servings. Next, you're going to take your 2 teaspoons of agave nectar and we are going to drizzle it on over the mixture. Agave nectar is a great sweetener alternative to things like maple syrup, Splenda, brown sugar, white sugar, and any other of those options. Agave nectar, make sure that it reads 100% agave nectar. If not, it could once again contain other ingredients on the back of the food. For this dish was $15.96 and per serving was $3.48. This is the total cost if I went out and bought everything, but most of these items I had already laying around in my cupboard. Feel free to customize this recipe and add on top things like dried cranberries or chopped walnuts. Or you could even switch out the apples for mixed berries or any other type. Leftovers for this meal can be stored in the fridge for 3 to 5 days. Fiber and antioxidants and is great for these cold winter months here in North Dakota. The total calories were 187 calories per serving, 47 calories total in this dish. 6 grams per serving of fat and 26 grams per total. There was 20 grams of carbohydrates and 2 grams per serving of protein and 6 grams for the whole. For everything was $15.96, but just for this recipe it was $3.48 and it makes 4 servings. I hope you enjoyed this recipe as much as I did. Go try it the next time you're at the grocery store because I promise you won't be sorry.